Imagine a casual dining experience on a safe city street, protected, of course, by brave men. Let's see how this scenario has changed in the modern age, given the incentives and disincentives offered by the racial reform, the social justice movement within the courts and the Democrats. You notice how that rather unbased millennial man got up and sort of ran away so that he wasn't a part of it. Do you think perhaps that this might be a function of Daniel Penny, who exerted force in an effort to protect subway goers from a crazed Jordan Neely who was threatening to kill people within the car, and apparently led to his death, Jordan Neely's death. And of course, had the races been reversed, that the black man would have likely been hailed by a hero, by AOC, by the leftists. But because the races were white on black, I think that they made a pretty big deal out of it, shutting down the subway, jumping up and down on the third rail, almost electrocuting themselves. AOC and Ayanna Pressley and all the usual suspects coming out and declaring that Daniel Penny is a murderer, despite the fact that he was protecting people. Do you think that it's possible that this man runs away in part because there have been enormous disincentives provided towards intervening into black on anything crime, or any crime of any type, but especially black, considering the fact that what we saw happen with George Floyd, where as more and more evidence piles on that the public was not aware of, it appears that essentially Derek Chauvin was acting within the confines of police procedure, that the representative of the police department lied about it not being included in the manual, where it was scrubbed away from the internet, but still is in the original physical manual. I despise these people, and this is why we are seeing a rise in crime. Now, it's very possible that this gentleman might have just ran away. Maybe he's just a puss, but this certainly wouldn't have been the case in the past. An armed society, for example, is a polite society. People don't try this shit when they realize that there's a possibility of being shot, which is why, of course, the Democrats want to take your right to bear arms away, why they are continually vilifying it. But what happens, even if this perpetrator gets caught, the DA, in all likelihood, just gives him a slap on the wrist, if that, and allows him to proceed on his merry way. When I was on Twitter earlier today, they were discussing El Salvador and how it is now the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, where before it was the murder capital of the world by country, because the President Bukele eliminated the gangs and threw them all in jail. When you not only remove the criminals from the streets, but you provide a massive disincentive from committing the crime, then you get less of it. Then you have an environment where people can plan, where people can open up businesses. Just as an example, living here in Mexico, I have an idea for a business that I want to open, but I'm 100% sure that the cartel is going to come and tax me on my revenues. And that is not something that I want to do or put up with. So it disincentivizes productive people from creating businesses. When you have certainty, when you have rule of law, that creates a society that is more dynamic, that produces far more of greater productivity. And yet today you have people that are absolutely running away from what I consider to be almost a moral duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves. It is not random that this man chose to try to steal from the woman rather than somebody his own size. And it is morally incumbent upon us men to at least try to offer a disincentive to said criminal. But Understandably, you don't want the Daniel Penny treatment. You don't want to get shot by the criminal that's been released over and over and over again. This is probably not his first time doing it, and thus you stand back. So this is all a function of Democratic incentives and disincentives that they offer to said thugs, to the thieves, and especially ones of darker skin color who have free reign over society to do whatever they want and to make up for past inequities in the judicial system that they claim that they have faced. That may be the case, but that doesn't mean that we have to dissolve society as it is today. And this is exactly what they're trying to do. So I hope that you guys can take note of this, that you share this video so that other people can see over and over again, and eventually it'll come into their minds, into the recesses of their minds, and they realize that they cannot continue to vote for the progressive side of the aisle that is leading us over the cliff with all the other lemmings to our imminent death, to the death of our society, to the dissolution of the bonds that hold us together, because they're very good at destroying and not so much at creating. And that is exemplified here by the actions that the man take that I believe are a direct result of the incentives that society has produced for potential do-gooders. Far better to favor the criminal, the oppressed class. This is what the Biden administration and the Democrats are doing over and over. So vote them out. Share this video, thumb it up, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. Peace.